Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, transforming the way people think and work so their organizations can thrive. Well, hi everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and with me today is Tory Brunker. Tory is the Director of Product Marketing for Commerce at Adobe. Her focus is on the development of memorable commerce experiences across all customer touchpoints, B2B and B2C organizations using Adobe Commerce powered by Magento. Tory previously held marketing and e-commerce leadership roles at Dell and Office Depot, where she utilized B2B digital channels and online lead generation to drive 350% year-over-year customer acquisition. Outside of work, you can find Tory at local sports field cheering on her son and daughter. Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, Tory Brunker.
Thanks so much for having me, Ed. Super excited.
So first question, why do you do what you do?
Oh gosh. I'll be honest. I love to help people. And I know that sounds sort of odd coming from a marketer, but I think, part of my job is to help people see what's possible and provide them with a means to go get that. And so it's critically important for me to continue to help and educate. And, quite frankly, at the end of my bio, I spend all my weekends with my kids and my husband at the sports fields. And, a lot of that drives what I do in the business world as well.
So talk to me a little bit about the changing business models in the B2B space.
Yeah, B2B is exploding. The digital transformation on the B2B side is just incredible. So many of them are moving, away from being able to purchase in, warehouses or directly from a rep, coming to physically see them at their location. And they're really having to expand their business models. They're having to consider portals. They're having to consider marketplaces. And so many of them now are really finding that they are competing against Amazon business in a space that they didn't ever think was possible. And it's interesting to watch so many of them begin to really think about how those models are shaping and changing not only who they hire, but the skills that they're hiring for and the types of technology that they now need to deploy in order to support that new workforce and those new business models.
And how does subscription fit into this? I know that seems to be part of the whole process. I know Adobe has been a leader in subscription, moving their Adobe products to the cloud, and we're among the first to do that. How are you taking the learning that Adobe did there and applying it here in the commerce space?
Absolutely. And, the interesting thing about subscription, there are so many different ways to execute subscription services. And one of the things that I think I like about our approach is we're really giving that opportunity to businesses to make that decision, helping them understand the best way or the best route for them to deliver subscriptions. And then partnering with them and the right third party to help them realize that in their commerce journey. So many folks, have ever-changing needs for their subscription space. And it's critically important that they have that flexibility, especially for B2B. They may start out leveraging subscriptions for one aspect of their business and find that they really need it elsewhere instead, or that they need subscription coupled with like a marketplace model, for example, to help drive their product sales or help their distributors manage their channels a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think Teen So. I don't know if you're aware of him. He has a book called Subscribed out. And he's
Yes.
famous. He's famous for the quote that's saying, in 5 years everything will be available by subscription. I actually prefer Ann Genzer, who wrote a book about subscription marketing, who said, well, in 5 years everything will be offered by subscription by somebody, and you've got a plan for that.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's part of where businesses are today. They're really up leveling their commitment to their customer, and really starting to think about customer experience and driving that home across all touch points. No more can you just have a business site that has your contact information and a lead form. You really have to deliver an experience, whether that includes commerce or not. You absolutely have to showcase yourself, your brand, your offering, and your service levels to customers right from the moment they hit your site.
I think that's an important point. What I find with subscription is that it's really about relationship, right? It's
Yes.
ultimately about the relationship, not just the transaction anymore, and that changes the frame of reference. I think a lot of people think, well, subscription is just take your price and divide by 12. That is not it at all.
No, and convenience, right? And convenience is a big factor there as well. But
Frictionless.
the yes, frictionless. But that all plays into the relationship piece, right? If I don't trust you, I don't want to form a relationship with you. It's sort of like I'm going to date you, and I want to see how that first date goes, and that's that first experience with subscription. And I'm only going to keep going if that is a happy experience for me, and I get in return out of it what I expect. And to your point, it's not always about the price I'm paying or the discount I may get from subscribing as opposed to one-time purchasing. It's really about that ongoing experience that I have with you, and do you help me make better choices related to the relationship that I have with you, whether that's one subscription or 12 subscriptions.
And we have an exit question, Tori, that we ask all of
Sure.
our guests, and that is, who is a hero of yours, and why are they a hero?
Oh gosh, that is a hard question, Ed. I've got to be honest with you. I don't know that I have one hero. I think for me, there are different heroes in all aspects of my life, and they all represent different things that I'm either working on, or aspects of my life that I want to make sure that I hold dear to me. I think right now the one that is most coming to mind is actually my daughter's high school softball team. We are a suburb of the Austin, Texas area, and the team happens to be number one in the nation right now. And they're sort of like the little engine that could. We've got a couple of really great players on the team, but most of it is just some really scrappy, hardworking, can-do attitude girls, and they all have different out-of-school interests, and all kinds of different levels of academics that they're pursuing, but on the field they really come together and produce something magical. And I think, for me, seeing that happen is really inspirational, and teaches me that diversity in teams, and that common goal, is what really makes it important and special.
And lastly, Tori, how can somebody contact you?
Yeah, please reach out on LinkedIn. You can also shoot me an email at Adobe. My email is brunker@adobe.com. And of course, you can always hit me up on Twitter. It's at Tory's on the Beach. Thanks so much for having me, Ed. This has been super fun.
You're welcome. Well, Tory Brunker, Director of Product Marketing for Commerce at Adobe, thanks so much for being a guest on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Thank you.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.